Just when you thought all the privacy breaches with Facebook data had been made public, we've learned there's more. Turns out Cambridge Analytica not only harvested personal data, it could have accessed private Facebook messages too. Hard questions are being asked about how all that data can be used to influence and manipulate our behavior. Because when it comes down to his own privacy, Zuckerberg has been photographed covering up the camera and microphone on his laptop. And this in his testimony to the U.S. Congress this week.
Would you be comfortable sharing with us the name of the hotel you stayed in last night?
No.
If you've messaged anybody this week, would you share with us the names of the people you've messaged?
Senator, no, I would probably not choose to do that publicly here.
I think that may be what this is all about. Your right to privacy, the limits of your right to privacy, and how much you give away in modern America.
So what can all the data on Facebook be used for? And what's the harm? Zeynep Tufekci is a techno-sociologist at the University of North Carolina and studies social media's impact on democracy. She's also a contributing opinion writer for the New York Times and joins us from Princeton University. So, Zeynep, it really looks like Facebook is in full crisis control mode. They've acknowledged that they've known about Cambridge Analytica's use of their data for years now. What should they have done?
So what they should have done, to me, is pretty clear, is that they should have invested in protecting people's data. They should have also been going down different paths, potentially. You know, from the beginning, the problem here, and the reason we keep having Facebook apologize again and again for basically the same act, is that they have a business model which depends on collecting an enormous amount of data on people, profiling them based on this extensive data. And by this data, I don't mean just the stuff you do on Facebook. It's also stuff that they purchase data from data brokers. They collect people's browsing behavior. When you're surfing the web, they have tracking pixels. So even if you're not on a Facebook, page, it's tracking you. They create shadow profiles of non-users. So even if you've never been on Facebook, they probably have a profile of you. And if you're an Android phone user, they're even snooping on your text messages. So they're collecting all this data because their business model is to then profile you and sell your attention to advertisers.
So people, I think, are angry that they have been used here perhaps by Facebook, but a lot of people are just saying like who cares? Like really, I just use Facebook to send photos to grandma. I know if I've been manipulated. Why is it a big deal?
Why you should care is that it's not just your pictures of, your baby pictures or your cat pictures. This kind of data can be used to identify your politics. That kind of data can be used to identify your personal weaknesses. This data can be used to access if you have an illness, drug use, substance abuse, parental separation. All of those things can be easily inferred computationally from this data. Even if you've never disclosed it, they can just sort of look at the pattern and do pattern matching and algorithmic analysis. And then this can be used to target people one by one. So you can send to people who have certain political leanings and vulnerabilities one message, and you can send other people a different kind of message. When you put it all together, it creates an unhealthy situation for the whole public. So it's not just a privacy issue, it's a healthy public sphere issue.
But a lot of people will say, you can send me an ad. I'm not going to be manipulated. I'm smart.
Well, it's not just an ad, though. If it was just an ad, that would be fine. What it is an ad is, for example, let's say you've got a grave illness. You've got a serious illness. Let's say you're struggling with fertility. Let's say you've got some issue that your child is struggling with. And let's say you're vulnerable to something right at that moment. They can quietly nudge you using just that vulnerability. And then a politician can also use that to nudge you and kind of manipulate you and make you a promise maybe, and then can go to the next person and make a completely different promise. And it would be person by person, and you'd have no idea what they were saying because it would be opaque. And we have, some evidence that they tried this, at least in the US.
We're seeing two very different sides of Mark Zuckerberg over the years. You know, he says he was just trying to connect people. Now he's being revealed as someone who's a little bit more calculating. Which one is the real Mark Zuckerberg? Is he the person who was just trying to connect the world, or is he a calculating mogul who has abused people's trust?
The point, I think, more important here is it doesn't really matter which person Mark Zuckerberg is. He could be an angel with the greatest set of intentions. The point is they have built a corporate structure and they have built a business model that incentivizes them to act in a particular way, and they're acting exactly in that way. So if it was just sort of who's the real Mark Zuckerberg problem, you could just say let's replace him with another person who's better and you would solve the problem, but you wouldn't. And that's kind of why I'm a little wary of all the current scandal moment, in that we'll try to just figure out Mark Zuckerberg the person, but not do something to change the incentives and the structure that leads to this, because then we'll have the same thing again. This is not about persons, and this isn't even about, you know, what's in their heart. It's the business models and the data retention policies and the targeting they've set up.
Zeynep, thank you so much for talking to us today. Zeynep Tufekci.
Thank you.